What is going to really happen to our internet? Does the FCC have our best interests in mind? Do we know what we're talking about? All this and more. I'd like to introduce first Milt K, resident geophysicist.
Hey guys, it's Milt again. Just want to again wish everybody a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, and hope everybody returns back after the New Year safe and sound. This net neutrality debate is a kind of a personal hobby of mine. I've been kind of following this for a couple years now since the 2015 ruling, and it's very interesting to see how it's progressed and developed over the past year with the new administration, and looking forward to talking about it.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, it is a hot topic. Definitely a hot topic. And speaking about hot topic, broke black man.
Hey, all broke black man 94 here, Cersei lover and Funko Pop lover. Justin, happy holidays. But I'm here to try to understand this net neutrality business. I've heard so many YouTube videos, so many conversations. I've seen and read documents. I'm still clueless. Hopefully, I get my answers. If not, I'm suing Mill.
Well, I'll be sure you get the answers I want you to have. I'll send you over my package of information to give you all the right views. So Milt is the senior scholar because he went to school for the most years out of all of us. I don't think that makes him better, but he says it does. So we are going to go with him because he finds oil in the ground. So guess what? He's really for capitalism. It kind of goes together. So let's hear and in all serious note, you're a very educated man. You're very well spoken, and you do have a good grasp on this topic that I think they are trying to make as slippery as possible so people don't have a good grasp on it. I think you'd agree, and I think you should tell us what it's all about because we all know. We just want you to say it first, right?
Yes. And hopefully by the end of the stream, you'll all agree with me, which is really my, intention
spite,
during the stream. So basically, in a strict sense, from an ID perspective, what is net neutrality? Okay, net neutrality is essentially the principle that internet service providers, i.e., companies like Comcast, Verizon, at&t, okay, should enable access to all content and applications, regardless of the source, okay, without favoring or blocking particular products or websites. Okay, favoring essentially means throttling, right, or prioritizing one website versus another website, and blocking essentially, what it says, right? Basically blocking certain content or websites that the ISPs, these providers, deem to be, illegal, or basically they conflict with their own interests. Say competing services is a good example of that. And again, it's been highly publicized in the past few weeks to a couple months about the new administration basically putting in place a new chairman of the FCC, which is a guy named Ajit Pai, who it was a corporate lawyer for Verizon in his former life before coming into the FCC. Not that it matters or anything, but maybe it does to some people.
He's a huge piece of shit now.
where this person wanted to basically drive a vote to repeal net neutrality regulations that were put in place in 2015. There have always been some net neutrality regulations in place, but they were done with a pretty light touch. Okay, but in 2015, under the Obama administration, the Democratic leaning, okay, I hate to put parties in here, but the Democratic leaning FCC put in place tougher regulations, essentially to basically regulate the internet service providers where they could not block or throttle. And most importantly, okay, and this is really the gist of that legislation at that time, basically it prohibited paid prioritization of certain websites and content by the ISPs. Okay, so basically AT&T cannot basically provide fast lanes to say something like Netflix, okay, over competing streaming services like Hulu or or whatever the new Disney streaming service is, because Netflix decided to pay AT&T more money to get faster access.
Now, you mentioned, of course, the Democrat interest in this, but from my understanding, this is surprisingly a pretty bipartisan. Is this correct? Bipartisan issue here. It's not really on one side of the aisle or the other. I think that there's, from my research, it seems like there's a surprisingly amount of diversity amongst those who agree and disagree. It's not just the Republicans versus Democrats on this one. Is that correct? Would you say that's correct?
Well, I mean, in terms of the FCC right now is beholden to basically one branch of the government right now, right, which is the executive branch. So it's basically Donald Trump's call, right? So they really reflect the ideologies, okay, or they tend to lean towards the current administration. And at this point, Ajit Pai, basically a really, I'm gonna call him an arch liberal, but he's definitely pro-business, pro-big business.
Yeah.
Was appointed by Donald J. Trump to be the chairman of the board. So, and he's the guy that actually sets the agenda for the FCC.
So yeah, the RNC is going to be, they're leaning. I understand that, the RNC runs the show because there's a president that ran under the Republican ticket. I mean, obviously that's not for this ever to be talking about, but it's fair to say that Donald Trump is not your typical Republican. There is a lot of Republican senators and House members that are not for this repeal. But again, they don't.
You say how Trump is not a Republican. I never knew Trump was even a politician to begin with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, and really, I think we need to separate Congress from the FCC, because Congress can't do anything about this. This is a ruling by a federal agency, right? The only way Congress can get involved is if they pass laws, basically changing, basically pass laws regarding net neutrality, okay, in the House. Okay, this is just an independent body policy at this point.
Well, yeah, I get that the senators don't get a vote on it, but I mean, potentially they could, and we'll get to this probably, try to implement some type of regulation, at least ISPs throttling and whatnot, maybe for transparency or something like that. And you do see them being vocal and telling their constituents to go out and, email here or do this, is my point. Yeah, I know that they're not going to, go and have a vote because it's not how the government works. But I personally just found that it's not a big point. I found that very interesting when I was researching this, that there was a lot of mixed feelings across the board on it. I believe there's only 2 nays on the actual board that counts, the FCC, but it's not just a one party thing.
Oh yeah, Justin, I totally agree with that. In fact, this could even become a really big campaign issue in 2018, right? As the midterm elections here. Net neutrality, I mean, the internet it affects everybody, right? And the more people are, it affects everybody almost to an emotional state, okay? And it's really important that people are informed as opposed to what this ruling is, okay? And which basically leads me into what really happened. So last Thursday, the FCC voted 3-2 in favor of repealing the rules that were set in 2015. Okay, and the most important outcome of these rules is that internet service providers can now, if they wanted to, offer pay prioritization to certain content providers. Okay, meaning that Netflix can go to them, and if they wanted to, say, okay, we can give you more money, but stream our stuff at a higher speed than, say, our competitors.
Yeah.
And then they can pass that cost to you as the consumer.
Absolutely. I mean, what they're doing is it's capitalism 101. You make it a free market, and a free market means that these companies big companies, and especially somebody like Donald Trump, who fancies himself a businessman, is going to go with the trickle down effect, and that means that he's going to try to benefit the largest companies, which are the telecommunication companies, and that will all trickle down. So the idea is, it sounds bad for them to not have this open pipeline like we have now. Right now, when you go on the internet, for the most part, because there still has been throttling, if I go to, let's say, discovery.com, I should be, if I have the same ISP as Broke Black Man, I will be getting there and downloading and watching educational videos just as quick as he will be on Pornhub, which is obviously what would be happening. And there would be no difference whatsoever, because they have just a completely free interface. There is no control over it. There's no perks to be had. You can't pay for extra speed for this. You can't pick a package. They can't slow down your traffic to a site that they necessarily don't want you going to. And I think the big worry for me, I think you're a little bit more of a believer in this traditional capitalist way of thinking, in these behind door dealings, that we will expect them to be honest, because let's face it, how many of these telecommunication companies own these ISPs and also own some of these sites? You have so many conflicts of interest that obviously the ISP that has actual, stock in Netflix is going to make it easier for you to get to Netflix and harder for you to get to Hulu, which will soon be a Disney service. But, how can you really trust them to do that? If it was a road, and let's say McDonald's owned roads and Burger King owned roads, and McDonald's owned a road that went to a Burger King, that road would be under construction nonstop, and they would not make it very accessible whatsoever for you to get to it. In their road, they will make it so not only is it great for you to get to it, but it might even could be greater if you paid this toll to go on the special, a turnpike or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I think it's very dangerous, and I think it's something that's hard to measure as well, because this is the first thing I would do with my service. I would throttle my service to give it slower speeds, and then I would offer the premium package and sell that to my customers like that. Because once you do that, and then I know it's the free hand of the market, and I'll stop in a minute, but the free hand of the market can do whatever the hell it wants, and that includes throttling speeds to give the illusion of faster speeds for bullshit packages. I mean, this is not new tricks. This is opening up the old book, and this is new media. The internet is not a brick and mortar business. It is so hard for us to really know what's happening with our internet speeds, and people are going to be paying a lot of money, I think, for services that aren't necessarily the service they think they're getting. And I don't see the benefit for the consumer in this, but you have an argument and you believe in the free hand of the market. I don't see how this could turn out so we pay less money or even the same money and get the same service.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'd like to basically respond in two ways here. The first way is that prior to 2015, have any of you guys experienced throttling or blocking? Because all they did last week was repeal the 2015 rulings. Personally, I'm fortunate to live in a big city where there's a lot of competition around. If there was throttling or blocking, associated with one ISP, I could just quit that service and go to another ISP, which didn't have that issue. Okay, so
and which ISP is going to be that?
Well, it could be at&t, it could be Comcast. It could even be Verizon if they actually get their home internet service. Spread out across the country. Files. Yeah. Okay, but I'm just saying that in 2015, the previous 2015, was there an issue? Did you guys ever experience that? Did most of the country experience this kind of stuff? My guess was probably not much at all. Okay, the only examples I ever heard of actually intentional throttling by ISP was when at&t basically tried to block FaceTime when it first came out, because it was competing against an at&t FaceTime type of service. I mean, that was way back in 2009. But once people got wind of that, at&t just said, okay, sorry guys, no, we screwed up, here's your FaceTime back. Okay, I don't think ISPs are stupid enough to piss off customers, knowing that they can lose customers by trying to throttle at this point. Okay, unless there's some major collusion going on amongst these 7 or 8, large companies. In that case, it'll be so obvious that the SEC will actually go in and basically prosecute them.
Well, to answer your question, no, I haven't noticed it, but that's kind of to my point is, well, I have poor internet speeds where I'm at, and I pay for the best because of the lines here outside of Raleigh. But no, I don't. It's not something that your average person keeps track of. Yeah, my internet will be a little less efficient on some days, but I don't go ahead and jump to the conclusion that the company is screwing me. So, I mean, like, who is regulating this and who is reporting this, and how can you keep track of this? How would you go about knowing if you're being throttled or not?
Well, I mean, I guess that it becomes an issue where you're just going to have to check to see in a particular site, okay, basically whether or not you are being throttled. Like if your Netflix streams start, going really slow, and
But
that's
that
this
could be the weather.
ISP, yeah, and this ISP, was offering a higher speed Netflix package, then you kind of know what's going on here. But but secondly, I mean, I also like to talk about what this means in terms of pros, right? I mean, it gives the ISPs, okay, more variety and more services that they can offer to the consumer. If say for example Netflix decides to pay AT&T to basically create these fast lanes, you as a consumer has a choice now whether or not you want to pay extra for these fast lanes to get super high speed, okay, or pay slower speed, or pay less for a slower speed. It's your choice now. Nobody's forcing you to go to a slower speed. You can go to a higher speed if you want to.
Yes.
And that's competition, right? You spur competition, and ultimately that does benefit the consumer.
See, and that's where we disagree a little bit because yes, okay, in a perfect world that is, but again, you are not really making, I don't believe as much as you do that they're going to make these services better. In that capitalism is, when you have competition, then you will always strive to be better because the only way to be successful is to be the best. And also, you have to assume that these companies, and it sounds like you're assuming these companies are above price setting. Like there's no large companies in the United States that make sure that milk all costs the same. I mean, you
in a perfect
God
world,
bless your American heart, dude. But like, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, but here's the thing: you talk about have we noticed? Like, I mean, that sounds like a stump question to me a little bit. It kind of pisses me off, to be honest. Like, oh, have you noticed anything? It's like kind of like, well, can you tell me how do you regulate? How do you measure it, Milt? Like how do you go? You say, oh well, if it feels like it's going slow, well then that's so easy to explain away to some weather or some type of nonsense. I mean, there is.
But it's not always weather though. Like it can be a snowstorm, and I can still see a live stream perfectly. But then it's like it could be a perfect day, and all of a sudden, like my Wi-Fi is like slow or something. I'm like, okay, what's up here? So immediately I just go into my phone data plan and see, okay, it's something up there, but it's like, no, it's not. So then I turn my Wi-Fi on and it's crappy as well. So it's like, okay, something's up with the Wi-Fi. Then I just restart it and go on my way.
That's still not a precise measurement.
Well, I mean, you don't know any. Okay, nobody knows what's causing your speeds to go slow. Okay, I mean, all I can say is that if your speeds are going slow across the board on any website you choose, any website that you visit, right? Yeah, fine. Okay, it could be probably a weather-related phenomenon. It could be something to do with the lines or whatever. Okay, but if you do notice that it's slowing down, say on something like Netflix, okay, if pay prioritization actually comes into play here, then maybe then you can say that fine. Okay, I didn't pay extra for the faster speeds. Hence I am quote unquote running at a slower speed. I don't like the term throttling. Throttling is a really bad term. Okay, it's a very bad practice that basically mobile cellular service providers.
How about neglect?
Okay.
Ignoring.
No. Okay, where they intentionally basically lower speeds for somebody due to a capacity issue or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about home internet service providers here. Okay. In the current state, you are paying X amount of money for whatever maximum download speed package that you want right now, right?
Yes.
And at that point, everything else is open access, just the way it is under the net neutrality rules right now. okay, you should be getting that speed, never, regardless of, regardless of where net neutrality is in place or not in place.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
it's
I
gonna be
deal with
dependent.
that all the time, and it's always a very broad range that they have. I think I mean, are you understanding what I'm saying about the fact that there's this inability to precisely measure these speeds? Because you think I'm only bringing it up as a bad way, but it goes both ways. Since you cannot provide me with 100% accurate way to tell me exactly what my speeds are and why they are, then how are you going to sell me better?
Well, I mean,
How can you sell me something better that you can't measure? How about I sell you? I'm going to sell you a certain amount of like liters of fluid, and for some reason
sure,
you measure those liters, but you
yeah,
just have to trust me. And it might have felt low that day, but there could have been a leak.
yeah. I guess it's really boils down to the fact, do you believe what the ISPs are selling you, right? After this,
Yeah.
and remember, they have their own interests at heart. Okay, if they're doing something shady, they will get caught. Okay, there'll be enough of a public uproar where they're doing it to enough people, they will get caught and they will get prosecuted. So it's in their own best interest not to act this way. Okay,
Yeah, but I mean,
in the spirit of
they're not going to
competition.
necessarily have to break laws to, make us have to pay more money for a subpar service. The reason that I am not so upset with my kind of, let's just say, shitty internet here is because I pay the best that I can get, but I know for sure, because it's an open system and nobody's being prioritized, that even if it's shitty, I just know that that's the best shitty I can get. Once you start putting these faster lanes in and stuff like that, the ability to, first off, let's face it, any service plan you sign has a lot of variables in it. It has a lot of small print in it. I'm not trying to say like they're evil corporations that are like, now he thinks he's got the fast lane. I'm just saying that there are going to be ways that I don't think this is that beneficial. I think that I'm maybe I sounded too sinister before. Like I said, I'm not saying it's going to be this complete like screw job and then they can blow it out of the water because they never even increase their speeds. I'm just saying that having the ability to charge more for something that's incredibly difficult to measure,
to piss off customers,
and also
can lose customers,
is going to be something that you are going to sign a contract that is going to be very broad in its so yes, you're going to be able to be guaranteed that like your lowest speed is going to still be higher than the the lower tier. I mean, I would imagine that's how that would work. Okay, that's basic business, but
it's the way it is right now.
Yeah, so okay, but so they can get away with selling you on that 20 MPS or whatever, and giving you that bare 14, and then also realizing that you're paying far more for this specialized package with Netflix, when in reality what you need to compare it to is how much better are these going to get than right now. Like, the thing is, nobody's really too upset with how the internet's working right now. There's not an outcry about it. The only people that are mad are the people that can't suck more money out of it.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
Yeah. I would say that's.
And
I would say
people
that's
are going to be
right
paying
now,
a lot of money,
but
I think,
if you
for
were a
services
Netflix
that are.
subscriber right now, okay, I'm not sure if you are or not, Justin, but if you were,
I'm not a bum. Yes, I am, sir.
okay, okay, if you were, and then with the advent of more and more 4K content, okay, which is going to be getting bigger and bigger as we get along in years, that requires a lot of bandwidth, okay, and a lot of basically to stream into your TV system, okay. And and at that point, I think there will be a big difference, because having a faster, higher bandwidth pipe into your home, okay, especially with 4K content, will make a difference versus what you versus what you might get in a standard plan.
So, but that's just like a hypothetical that we might have a problem down the road. So once people start having low speeds due to, overuse of the 4K downloading, then maybe that's something to talk about. But when the consumer's not complaining, why are the, companies trying to sell them a package? That's like me that has a suit that I really like and a tailor
Sure.
just knocking on my door saying,
Sure.
Justin, you need to get that hemmed. And I'm
Sure,
like, well,
but
I'm happy with it. They're like, but what if you end up not being happy at some point?
yeah, but sure, but at the end of the day, though, nobody's putting a gun to your head to buy a high-speed package that you may or may not be, taking. You may or not believe, right? It's up to you to decide whether or not you want it or not. And I think that's the choice here that people are given at this point with the net neutrality rule is being repealed here, is that people have a choice now. If they think it's worth it, they want to spend it. And if content providers, again, like Netflix, like the Disney streaming service, decides that they want to pay an ISP to basically create these fast lanes for their services, let them. And let the
Yeah, but then
consumer
that does
decide.
cost me money though, because then if I don't pay for that special package that Netflix creates or YouTube creates, then I am affected because my basic package will not be as good as what it is right now.
No, your
Because then,
basic package would be what you paid for already. I mean, your basic package would be at the 20 megabits per second that you're paying for right now. It can't go below that, right?
well, if they're allowed to, why wouldn't it be able to? If they're gonna set tiers, they're gonna set tiers starting from lowest to highest.
No, they do that right now, setting tiers, right? I mean, you can do a 5 megabits per second plan. You can pay for a 20 megabit per second plan, or you can be like me and pay for a 50 megabit per second plan right now. What the pay prioritization does is that it just basically lets certain content providers have preferred lanes, right? Faster, higher bandwidth lanes.
But so legally, they're not allowed to alter their, because what if they say, oh, but to do these fast speed lanes, we need to, the other ones will be slightly slower. I mean, is that I don't get the regulation on this.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's any guarantee. And I'm not, okay, I know I'm just playing devil's advocate here because you're saying a lot of things that make sense if done properly, but also everything you say has the other end to it. It's the other side of the coin, which you're just assuring me that my base internet speed will always be. So it's like, well, if I'm content now, I'll always be content and I'll never have to pay anything extra. I find that hard to believe once, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get what you mean, but your question about legally they cannot do that, right? If you pay for a service, with a max download speed of 20 megabits per second, you should be getting that, right?
But when that service plan expires, though, and I need to renew.
Well, if you need to renew, if you don't like the way your service was, okay, then you can always go somewhere else, right? Just like the way it is.
That's what
right
I do.
Just like the way it is right now. Just like the way it is right now. You can always go somewhere else.
Cablevision. Cablevision fails, I just go to Verizon. Then when I see Cablevision got a cheaper package, I go to Cablevision. And it's back and forth. Right now, I'm cool with Verizon. Good speed, good package.
And as long as the companies, from my understanding, are upfront about what they're doing, they can change their service plan. And then you can go to this other company in this totally just non-greedy market that you keep telling me about. The thing is, I think you just have so much faith in these companies that like there's going to be this one company that doesn't do it because they're going to be like, because that guy's allergic to money. You know what I mean? You're just counting on a lot of people to be to charge you a fair price for a service that's very difficult to measure, and also to do things behind closed doors that are, this is like the Wild West as far as it's concerned, that it's very difficult to navigate for the average person. So they already do it when it's illegal. Now you're making it legal. You're telling me they're not going to set up tier systems that are totally going to make families have complete issues because mom is not going to want the same gaming plan that little Tommy wants. Like you're gonna have to be paying for the gamer, the artist, the content creator. As soon as you start doing that, you can't tell me that yes, it could get better if you pay a lot more money, but overall the quality is going to go down, in my opinion.
There is no difference between the scenario that you're describing right now than what it was before 2015. Okay, there's absolutely no difference. You had the same type of choices, the same type of, you know, basic freedom, okay, in terms of how you want to change providers. There's absolutely no difference. They could have done exactly the same thing pre-2015 if they wanted to. The biggest difference is around this pay prioritization, whether or not a company can charge you more to get better speeds for a particular service, okay? And it's up to the consumer. I keep on saying that. It's up to the consumer to decide whether or not that is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But there is something that has changed since 2015. Not that it was going well, but significantly, traditional media has suffered. And the
Yeah.
people that are making these deals are the people that are the owners of this traditional media, these cable companies. So, they were looking at their doom's end with people streaming everything. So they need to make, just like DVD sales used to make up, a large percentage of entertainment production companies, income. Now that money is made up through obviously streaming. It's made up through merchandise, and it's made up through, like they always have to find a way to supplement these old sources of income that become obsolete. So now that the cable box becomes obsolete, what are they going to charge us for? I mean, it just,
Yeah.
okay, go capitalism by the book and everybody's Johnny be good, then it's going to turn out okay. Even communism, if you read Marx and, and they got stuck to that and people didn't, run, some Stalinist shit and have people end up being dead, it would turn out to be okay. But the problem is people always take an idea, and usually these whole ways of these systems of government and systems of that they're putting in place now for the internet. It's always like they're making somebody else's life better by making somebody else's life worse. And there's really no way to go about it, because to make somebody think they're winning, somebody else has to lose. And you don't want to be the people with this. And I just find it hard to believe that the status quo is going to be there, because there's too many people that are complacent with the system that is in place. So there's no selling point to that right now. Do you see what I'm saying? There's no selling point. Not look at the public outrage about this. And yeah, there's a lot of fear mongering and all that, and not as many people have faith in the free market like you do. But again, like I said this to you before, the hand of the free market only works when it has many places to go. I mean, how many companies are there really to go to? 4, 6?
Yeah, I mean, in a major.
I thought you were mocking me. I got really angry.
Yeah.
What the fuck is he doing?
No, in a major metropolitan center, okay, you might get, say, 3 to 4 major competitors, okay? I mean, I get what you're saying, Justin. I mean, it takes a certain leap of faith to basically see whether or not, the free market would dictate, okay, would basically spur competition and basically, dictate prices and basically dictate behavior, right? Which is really what it's all about. And I just can't see major corporations at this point. No major corporation wants to, basically have a PR nightmare in their hands, okay, by being the guy that throttles everything and wants to charge you extra. I think there's always going to be a competition, at least in major markets. Now, just to prove that I'm not some sort of corporate show, okay, what I am fearful of, Justin, is say the more rural markets out there with only
like mine
provider.
too.
Yeah,
We
a
have
single
two,
provider.
and they both are terrible.
Exactly.
It's like having herpes or freaking gonorrhea.
Yeah, and in those places, that's where a risk, what you're saying for, can happen. I mean, there is a monopoly that goes on, because if you look at there's a great chart about Portugal with no net neutrality regulations in place, and there's only one major company that services all of the internet in Portugal, and you can see by the packages that they're offering is ridiculous, right? I mean, they're offering packages for social media, they're offering packages for YouTube, and there's basically nickel and diming people. I can't see that happening in the U.S., but major metropolitan centers, but I can perhaps maybe see a little bit of that thing going on in rural areas, okay, until they build enough infrastructure.
I find, because if let me just go on. Let's switch sides really quick.
Mhm.
I could sell the shit out of some packages because, okay, I'm a content creator.
Yep.
Are you sick and tired of having to wait for your uploads? And I'm streaming right now, but I'm also on this. There's another computer right there that, oh my God, it's actually, I'm a capitalist pig here. Yeah, like there's so many devices on in this home. It's like, so you want this, and because people like things that are personalized. But they're always personalized just enough so you got to get all that other shit that you don't want. Like, these are the same companies that, can you just get one HBO channel? Have you ever achieved that? No, you have to buy all 10. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way they operate. They know they have you by the balls, and I don't think there's enough diversity to stop it, because I could easily pitch this. We talked about this before. Oh, for the researcher, the person that's going to be downloading, a lot of PDFs and stuff like that, and they don't want to have their research halted because of the foolish and immature Mountain Dew and Dorito eating gamer. Why should, that's what it's going to come down to, is it's going to come down to, why are we, it's almost like a welfare thing. Why should I have to pay? I'm paying for top internet speed, and I don't get the speed I should have because I have to pay for Uncle Frank's Pornhub habit. I don't support that. And they can even make it political, like, oh, these people are going to these websites that are disgusting, these blah, blah, blah. I mean, once you open up that avenue, I think that, yes, it was, these regulations were put in place in 2015 for a reason, because they foresaw this happening, because the internet is still virgin. We have to remember that. I mean, when did everybody get cable internet? What, like 2010 only? Like, before then you had your dial-up and DSL. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, man, that just getting like that, the upgrades were just getting the better lines. Now that the lines are peaking, and they're still better with the fiber optics. Like, I don't have access to those right now because I'm too many miles outside of Raleigh. Okay. Yeah. So the upsell before, and still is to a point, is the actual connection. Yeah. So once those pipelines stop physically changing, then they know that they're going to start doing the same thing with the way that the pipelines operate. I just don't have the faith that you do, but I do see that competition can brew, better ventures, but it's such an optimistic view you have. Is that a
well, no. I mean, like, okay, to spin your argument around just a little bit, HBO has always done that. Showtime's always done that, right? Where they package everything and force you to buy the whole damn thing for $20, right? Yeah. Okay. They've always done that. Previous net neutrality rules in 2015, and it's going to be that way after it, okay? But with net neutrality rules, what they can do now is say, okay, if you want, say, HBO widescreen, HBO WS, I think that's one of the channels that they have. Right, I think so. Okay, then if you want that to be on a faster speed, they can say, okay, for $2 extra a month, you can have that, and you don't need to do anything else. Okay, that's where I see it going. The main advantage is transparency at this point, right? They can actually set prices for certain tiers for you as a consumer, for you to make the choice.
But did you notice how you just said HBO's always done that, Cinemax has always done that, and you know how you keep mentioning these...
though, Verizon got a package where you don't even have to buy all the HBO channels. You can buy whatever select HBO channel you want, though.
Is that only on a phone?
No, on an actual TV. Like, you don't need it. It's like everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't see you
I'm gonna look at that.
Much.
I'm gonna look at that really quick. But hold on, because what I was like, what he just said was that but they've all always done that, and that's kind of my point. You keep talking about this, mythical company ran by the Lord Jesus Christ himself, that again has this weird allergic reaction to money that's not going to do it. It's like, yeah, okay, all of them have always done it. Want to know why?
Okay.
Because you don't look like a bad guy when when everybody else is doing it. Like Stars wasn't like, well, we're not going to play that game and we're going to get more customers, because guess what? The averages don't go that way. So they're going to do it because it became acceptable as soon as, and then it'll go one more further. There's not going to be that company that's Johnny B. good. We don't do it like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but at that point it becomes a behavior thing, right? and it becomes, that's where the market forces should drive consumer decisions, right? I mean, you find a place, eventually someone's going to be in an uproar. Some people will be in an uproar where, they can switch if they want to. If they're not happy with the services, if they're not happy with HBO, get rid of it then. It's no big deal, right? It's up to you
Yeah,
to decide.
but nobody else is any different. They're all doing the same thing. So where are you going? So yeah, okay.
Okay.
So then the only option is you don't have it.
Yeah, you don't have it, and enough people don't have it, then that's the market. That's capitalism in progress, right?
People have hated that for over 15, maybe 20 years, and HBO's doing just fine.
Yeah, well, people are willing to pay.
People are complacent, and they know it.
People are willing to pay, but again, I think this is separate than the net neutrality things. The net neutrality stuff is all it's doing now is letting content providers and ISPs to basically build out these faster, higher bandwidth lanes that if the consumer wants to pay for it, they can. Okay, I think that issue about what we're not willing to pay for a package of HBO stuff that you don't want, that's completely independent of net neutrality at this point. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that they're directly related. What I'm saying, I'm just using it as a metaphor because it's like a similar thing where it's a thing that nobody really likes.
Yeah.
And all the companies, and they happen to be ran by the same companies that we're counting on being, very fair and honest, and they've all done this. I know that doesn't have anything to do with net neutrality.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's like if all these burgers are the same price from all the burger restaurants, or you know what I mean? It's just the same. It's just a metaphor. So
yeah. Okay.
I mean, BBM, go ahead.
So yeah, till then it's like, even if like what Mel is saying, customers get the right to choose. It's like, I don't think people would really care as much. Some people, yeah, they would care, like, oh yeah, I want the higher speed. The other people really wouldn't care unless like sellers would like dog them. Hey, don't you want this? Don't you want that? They can be like,
yeah,
well, do I really need it? Then they're gonna just like say, oh yeah, you kind of really need it. If you want more speed, they're gonna be like, well, then what's more speed? Like, and obviously, does it really matter? No. It's like, do I need a new TV because it's gonna have like better quality, whatever? It's like,
yeah.
In a day, you're still gonna have the same. You're still gonna be watching the same thing. It's gonna be like a little better pixelated, whatever. So be it. Just like the iPhone. It's like, eventually, there's gonna be a point where you eventually have to get a new iPhone, but do you really need it? No, because I still see my mother with an iPhone 4. She's not upgrading to this damn day.
Yeah, and then when she upgrades her phone, her battery drains quicker because they set them like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're saying that she has to do it, but in reality, she doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. And
you have to upgrade to get the service that they're promising. You can't keep an iPhone 5 and have the same thing. And
but
you could if you got a new battery. You can.
And just simply talk and text, simply.
You could get a flip phone, BBM. I mean, you could get a can and a string. When you open the door for these, I think that why is anybody only seeing that it's going to be a system where they're going to be like, if you just are happy with what you got, that's fine. But we do have a premium package. But this isn't. No.
Yeah, but here's the thing. How long is this premium package going to long? How long is it going to last, though? A year?
A long
2
time.
years? And then when it actually ends, and then you're going to look at your bill saying, hold up, why am I paying $300? I should be paying like at least $80 a month or something. Then you're gonna backtrack.
It's your choice.
Immediately.
Yeah. It's your choice. And and a lot of the fear, I think, surrounding the whole net neutrality repeal. Okay, again, I'm not pro. Okay, I don't want to say that I'm on Ajit Pai's side because he's just an asshole. Okay, the way he's gone about doing things, but most of the fear around us has been not whether or not pay prioritization should be allowed. It's about whether or not the repeal of these laws will basically enable ISPs to throttle and block access to content. Okay, and I think that's where the fear is coming from. People don't like to be throttled, right? I don't like to be throttled, and I don't like to be blocked from certain websites. Okay, but I don't think repealing this does anything with that. Okay, it's nothing to do with that. It's really about the pay prioritization.
But that paid priority, I think that is just it sounds great, but I'm telling you that it will continue to get more and more specific, more and more diverse, and you'll have all these options, and you will not have in 4 or 5 years, it might take a while, but your plan will not look anything like this. You're going to have to be paying separately to use so many different apps that it's just going to become a problem. It's a way for them to control it. The internet is something that everybody can access and everybody can use it as they like. This is a way they say that they're only offering you ways to speed things up. There's no way that they're going to do that without also hindering other people that don't want to pay that. It's not the way the world works. It is going to, creating these options are only going to be beneficial for the companies. And they are not, by any law that I know of, against the law for them to change their package, just like it's not against the law for them to make it quicker. It's not against the law for them to make it slower, as long as they let you know. But the thing is, you can dress that in so many different ways. They're only making that slower because they realize that you're not using this service, but they're speeding this up. You see what I'm saying? Like, these are, I mean, I'll go work for one of these companies right now and I'll write the copy for their advertisement. You know, I can already imagine them in my head. And there's ways to do this that aren't evil. I mean, they don't end up being good for you, but it's not like we lowered your fees and there's nothing you can do, Justin. Go to Verizon. They're the same thing. That's not how that's going to go. It's going to be gradual and that's going to be over time. And this is set for the, like you said, this is, you know, set for the people that the Reaganomics, the trickle down, you know, type of people. But, you know, companies that are not, I don't see how this isn't like similar to inside trading with these companies that own both the roads to these businesses and the business themselves. How is that not a huge conflict of interest? And what is going to be the regulation on this? And I know we'll try to wrap it up, but I mean, you continuously only say that it's just going to be the way it is unless you want it to be better.
Yeah.
Do you really believe that?
You know, honestly, what I really believe right now is that nothing's really going to change because, you know, we're in this period right now where it's not in these ISP's best interest right now to actually go ahead and make these wide scale changes. Okay. And, you know, and there's reasons why there is right now. Okay. The first thing is impending litigation, right? Anything that the ISP does that will be perceived as being a hindrance or being consumer unfriendly, okay, would just give the litigators more ammunition to go to the judges and courts to basically impose a stay on this order, meaning that these laws will not be repealed, right? Any kind of injunction or a stay. So I mean, they have a lot of smart lawyers on these sides too. I mean, and they're probably recommending to their bosses and management in these ISPs not to do anything at this point. Don't piss anybody off right now because it's such a hot topic. Okay. Eventually, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. I think, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they're not just going to go and invoke all they're going to install in everybody's heads that, look, you were all scared for nothing. But when you give these people control over, I mean, it is no different than, you know, just divvying out roads to certain businesses and having some businesses own the roads to other businesses. The first, you know, 5 years, there's not going to be, you know, less lanes on a road or, you know, construction, but slowly but surely they're going to say they need a bridge somewhere, and then that bridge is going to need a toll. But if this toll is good because this bridge gets you to this place quicker, you're giving them ways to manipulate the system that they didn't have before. And I don't see that turning out to be, it might not be terrible, Milt. It might not be this nightmare that people think it's going to be.
I don't think so.
But to say that it's going to be nothing but beneficial, I think it's foolish, and it's very.
Well, I mean,
it's way too optimistic. I mean, people, they make money. There's price setting.
Okay,
There's not enough business.
I think you know, us as prognosticators can say whatever we want. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's really going to be, the impacts are really going to be dictated on what these guys do with this new ruling. Okay. And I just don't think anything's going to be done at this point, unfortunately. You know, I mean, I have my own philosophy as what I think should be done, which I've been trying to promote, I think, during this talk. But at the end of the day, I just don't really think anything's going to be done, only because of the amount of litigation that's going to be coming. Okay.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe I was too aggressive with the way I'm saying that it's going to be Armageddon right away, but I can tell you that this will not benefit the users in the long run. I would bet good money on that. The last thing I'll say, and I'm probably just going to go on air, isn't it? Well, okay, good, I can edit it. Did the same thing. The person that paid $500 for their wedding got the same light show, same speakers, same amount of DJs, same programs, and everything. Than the person that paid $1,200. And it's because a tier system is very easy to manipulate, and it is something that is just a selling point. It is a way for them to legally do it. But if somebody would have said weddings are, I know it's a socialist view, they're $1,000, then that type of behavior doesn't happen. That's my only point. I just don't trust people behind, but I do agree that there's enough people, and there seems like there's some passionate people that do this, because it's hard to argue, in my point. All you can argue, and you do it quite well, is that it's not going to be bad. But it's kind of really hard to argue that this is good for the consumer. But you can argue that it's not going to be bad, and it's not, I mean, if you want it, you want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think there'll be choices. There'll be more choices for people. Okay, and I think that's an important thing. I mean, ultimately, we are responsible for our own actions, right? I'm not a big believer in regulation. Government regulation, right? We are responsible for our own choices. If you want to pay for a quote unquote premium package that may or may not be real, okay. I think it will be real, but you might not think it's going to be real. Then it's up to you to decide, right? So yeah. I think having a more transparent system is beneficial in the long run.
But also, if you don't have these tier systems, then they could easily just that just makes them want to provide the best internet service across the board possible. You see what I'm saying? You're putting up, you're making them make it a privilege to have something what used to be open is my thing. I know everything's not a scam, but I'm just trying to express how a tier system is something that is usually not beneficial to the consumer.
Okay. I mean, the whole idea behind, I guess, doing these pay prioritizations is that with the proceeds that these ISPs will get, they will actually build out better and better infrastructure. I mean, that's the hope, right? And the infrastructure will benefit others. I know what you're saying. You're kind of snickering here in a little bit, but that is the idea. And and even I'm skeptical sometimes with that. Okay, but that is the idea, and that will basically result in a better broadband infrastructure for everybody.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I shouldn't snicker. I'll end it on this. I believe that you're just a little bit optimistic, and I believe that we live in some very different states where you do have a lot more options than I do, and I've seen the customers and saying this is what you get, and that's all you're gonna get, and you can go to the other person and have fun with them because they do the same thing we do. You know what I mean? But I also understand what you're talking about, and yes, the free hand of the market can work. Capitalism, when done correctly, will succeed, and you will have people, innovation will come from it. And I think that I think you might hate all this scrutiny on it, but in the end, for your proposed perfect world, you'll need that scrutiny to keep them in check. Because you really are counting. But and I would say you have a good chance of it because, usually people get lazy and they're like, well, and that still probably unfortunately will happen. But, if the same amount of passion keeps up with this, then yes, you're right. They will be, they won't be doing the light scam package. Like, you know what I mean? Those are all metaphors, brother. I don't think that's really what's going to happen. I'm just explaining that when they can offer you something better, it can also be.
And ideally there should be scrutiny everywhere, right? I mean, it's out of the FCC's control now, right? I mean, they're actually moving this into the domain of the FTC now, right, to regulate this stuff, and we'll see how that we'll see how that works. Okay.
Yeah, I want an agency that is, but then that makes bigger government, which they hate. But it's like I just want an oversight. Like they can't just throttle because they always use we talked before, and I promise we'll close this up. They'll always use that BitTorrent in Pirate Bay because they're like, well, because you shouldn't be paying for these people that do the illegal stuff. And that's great. I mean, trust me. If I got a phone call right now that's saying Justin, come work for us, I'll be selling you some buttered up fucking bullshit real quick and telling you about how great this is going to be for you, BBM, how great this is going to be for you, Milt, and how that Justin guy in that stream is an idiot and he's a socialist, red commie, Fuck that guy. But yeah, I think that you're right. And number one, nothing's gonna happen for a year at least.
For years.
Nothing. We're not talking about small. Like they won't touch shit. So
Exactly.
we'll see. We'll see.
And one last thing is that there have been actually developments right now in Congress. I guess I think you've read that a congresswoman from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, has actually proposed a House bill right now. So it's not coming from FCC now. They're trying to make this. She's trying to make this into law, where ISPs can provide pay prioritization, but they cannot throttle or block content.
See, that's what I was. See what I mean? So that's great, because that's what I'm worried about. Because if you can make it better, you can make it worse. So let's if you can only go up, that's a lot better.
Yeah, and of course there are some proponents of net neutrality right now saying that doesn't go far enough. But that's just politics at this point, right? But so that's law. So what this law would do would be just to take it out of the FCC's hand altogether, and make it into law, which may be the best thing. Honestly. At this point.
And to put regulations on who can own certain percentages of these businesses that have related interests, because obviously there's restrictions for traditional business in that way. I mean, you can't just go and you have huge conflicts of interest in any other area. So, Comcast shouldn't be able to control the road for Comcast. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So hopefully, things will get, I do believe in the free hand of the market, and let's just let it be free until we got to slap some cuffs on that fucker and turn it red. But I think I will say, let's start a new segment that says, fair point, Milt. I disagree, but I still respect you as a human.
Well, I would hope you'll always respect me. So otherwise I won't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, no, you'll sleep. Dude, if I don't respect you, then all that's going to happen is somebody else is going to come along as competition and is going to respect you even more because of my poor service as a friend, because that's how capitalism works. So it's not, I can't risk it, because there's a guy waiting to be your friend, and he'll see me slip up and be like, he's fucking her up. He's like, now you're going to get, you will get a better friend because of my incompetence.
Yep. So, even friendships are in sale right now.
Everything's a business deal. Everything's a business deal. So BBM, what did you learn today about net neutrality, and who do you think was most right? The very optimistic and kind Milt that most likely has interest in these companies, by the way, which I respect you and respectfully disagree, but still respect you as a human being, Milt. Have you learned a little bit more about net neutrality and realized that it's not the monster they say it is? It's just more of like a waking storm.
Well, I just know that if my Wi-Fi is acting up, I'm going to call Verizon and say someone is throttling me, whatever. So I want my money back or something. I don't know, but
they'll say suck my dick.
Noticing, like, it's going to depend on the customer. If you want the extra money, if you want the extra speed, so far I'm okay with the speed I'm getting. If it's more speed, wow, what do you do? More speed? I really wouldn't care, unless how you say it, Justin, is like, unless they're gonna automatically just tone down my Wi-Fi speed, and then I have no other choice. So you know what? Now I have to buy it. But it's just
it's gonna be it's a tricky road to navigate. I think on all fronts, it's tricky for them, it's tricky for us, and I think that hey, never before have so many younger people been so involved in such a minor. Because
it's just a new trending thing now, or whatever.
Well, no, it's because our president is a retarded baby.
Exactly, but from what Milt's saying, it's happened back in 2015. So it's like now it's returning again. I'm guessing it has like what.
But yeah, I think that it's a good place to end it, and that is the modern day left leaning almost socialist against the oil tycoon. They're all valid points. So, and people are trying to scare you on all fronts. So I think that let's just see what happens here, and let's hope for the best, and let's trust the government. They haven't failed us yet. You know what I mean? Sounds pretty good. These are good. All right. Net neutrality. You guys tell us what you think in the comments. Is that a good ending?
Hello everyone, this is Misha Houston, and I'm here to wish everyone a very merry, safe, and happy Christmas, and an even more happy, safe, and wonderful New Year. All I have to say is just open your presents, drink your eggnog, enjoy Christmas dinner, watch the football games, and just be happy that you're alive, because that's exactly what I'm doing. So, once again, just have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will be back in a little while. So, this is Misha Houston saying enjoy your life as I do, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Let's make the most of this night. Come on, baby, take my hand. And we don't need to do the things we don't want to do.